What is up, everyone? Hold on. I had my wrong audio, so I apologize. What is up, everyone? We're starting over, and welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. Boys, I'm fired up. I am fired up on Monday, January 13th for many reasons. One of them is Friday, we had our weekly NFL show. And I know for a fact that this entire cast and everybody who was on the show had an absolutely massive wildcard weekend, and I'm super stoked to get into it. JD, always a pleasure being on with you, brother. How are you today?
Always, man. I'm doing absolutely great. Actually, like one of those reasons is because, just like you said, we're all doing well currently, and actually, like we'll actually get into that in that actually here like soon. But the other reason why I'm personally doing great, and I decided I would just share it here, is actually last week I started a little, I guess, like lifestyle change. The food I was eating and all that kind of stuff. And today, just after 1 week, I've actually lost 8 pounds.
Congratulations, brother.
So I am actually very pumped about that too. So
health is wealth. Health is wealth. I'm very proud of you. I know you came in here, you were talking about it. I also said I'm going to try and get healthy. I'm not going to lie and say that I have been because I've been eating like crap. But at least one of us on this show is doing it. And congratulations, JD. Keep rolling. Ben, another fresh hat. How are you today?
Yeah, it was a great weekend overall, without getting into the recap. It was just a fun weekend. We had some close games, the games that we thought should have won. They should have won. I think I did 2-0 on my sides in the show. Packers game was fun, even though it was kind of a blowout. Like it kind of looked like for a minute the Packers might run into it. A lot of fun playoff games overall, to be honest. I mean, like,
and we'll get into it.
The Ravens Steelers wasn't the best, but good weekend overall. Like
great weekend overall.
Watching game wise.
I disagree. We're going to get into that, and I have a lot to say about that, and I do want to talk about it. But let's go over to the comments a little more. Joseph is here. I'm assuming you're on my Ohio State Bills/FA. I know he gave it out in the show first. I agreed with it. We all took it. We loved that play. So congrats for tailing with us. We appreciate it. Let's keep winning. Monzi, man, we did what JD says we're always going to do. Let's effing win, and we did effing win. Unbelievable. Happy to see that. Aiden is saying there's something happened with Caitlin Clark, a stalker arrested. I haven't seen anything like that, but welcome to the show, Aiden. We appreciate you tuning in, brother. And Bill Norman is here as well. He is always here. Bill, we really appreciate you, brother, being here every single show. And J-Bo, health is wealth, JD. Keep it going. He's been doing a little fruit diet himself, so everyone's getting healthy. MoneyBall Metrics is winning money, losing pounds, and everyone has the good vibes. That's all what we want to do around here. So let's keep that rolling. Fellas, let's talk about the weekend. Let's talk about the weekend. Let's go over what happened in the football world, what happened overall over the weekend. I'll start first with how I've done. I've gone 4-1 so far in Super Wild Card Weekend. A lot of those plays were max plays, so we are up pretty substantially. The one loss that I had was the Chargers-Texans under, which that game, going to be honest, still think I had the right side on that. If Justin Herbert didn't have the worst game that he could possibly have, that game goes comfortably under the under. So frustrating there, but outside of that, it was a great weekend. But one thing I want to tell you guys, and one thing I want to break up before we break down everyone else's weekend and put it in your brains. Do you guys think the talent level in the NFL is substantially down than what we're used to? JD, I'll ask you first. What do you think? Do you think the talent level is down?
Do you mean just like as teams overall?
Get the talent in the NFL, not just the individual teams, but the totality of the talent in the league. Because I'm going to be honest, these games were blowouts. The only game to me that was a really good game was that Commanders game. And that one I thought was going to be the closest all weekend. But we're seeing a lot of bad football. There hasn't been a lot of big, great plays. It's been lousy defense, some lousy offense, some checkdowns. I don't think we see a huge talent in the NFL right now. I think the quality that they're putting on the field is not what we're used to.
I mean, like, I can see what you're saying, but I also think that there's just those few certain teams that are really stacked and that are like really top tier. But then when you have those teams, the Ravens, the Lions, all those type of teams. But then after that, the drop off is
That's
steep.
how I feel. That's how I feel.
Steep.
It's very top heavy, right?
Yes.
The top teams are fantastic, but let's just take a look back like the 2010 days. We had the Manning brothers in the league. We had Drew Brees in his prime. We had Rodgers in his prime. We had Tom Brady in his prime. We had all these great quarterbacks, all these talented teams that you genuinely didn't know who was going to win every year. You genuinely had an open field. And right now it seems like every year it's a 3 to 4 team race. It's the AFC basically are all the teams that everyone's considering. So to me, I wanted to bring that up there. I think the talent level in the NFL has gone a little bit down. And I think the quality of the games and the quality of the product has gone down a little bit too. I mean, Super Wildcard Weekend is supposed to be the best weekend of the year. They hyped it up. This is going to be great football all weekend long. We're going to have great close games. It wasn't really that. Houston won by 20 at home. All the home teams besides Tampa won, and they all blew them out. So 32-12 Houston, 28-14 Baltimore, 31-7 Buffalo, 22-10 Green Bay, and then the game last night. So to me, it wasn't a great weekend of football. I mean, we won our bets, which is fantastic, but I think the entertainment part was a little down. Ben, how did you do this weekend, and what do you think about that topic?
Well, I was very happy with this weekend's results. One of my favorite plays when I said on the show was Commanders +3. I have no idea what was going on with that line. The Bucs literally played no one down the stretch. We were talking about on the show their strength of schedule. They started the year 4-2, they started the year not great. They were like 4-6, I believe, and then they hit that stride at the end of the season against really, really, really poor competition, and everyone was so high on them because coming into the postseason they were hot. So happy they got exposed. We were right about the Commanders +3 and the Texans +3. Two good calls there, and those were my 2 max plays on the weekend. So we went 9-5 plus 7.3 units in the NFL this weekend. It was a good weekend overall. But I do disagree with your point a little bit. I think a lot of the scores actually weren't super indicative of the games. Like the first half of the Texans game was really good, and then they kind of pulled away late in the game. But 32-12 didn't really feel like how it felt most of the game. Like second half, they started to really pull away. But it was a pretty good game, I still think, even though it was kind of a blowout. The only true blowout that really wasn't anything was the Buffalo game. That was just But, the Commanders game last night was easily the best game of the weekend so far. Really good plays, too. As what you're talking about with the talent, I think we definitely saw it in that game. McLaurin had some insane catches.
Yeah, he did.
Jaden Daniels was making plays all over the field. And, Tampa was fighting. It's not like it was a blowout or a complete mismatch.
No, absolutely, I agree.
They had some awesome plays. We had Mike Evans. So I think that was the game with the most talent. And
I agree.
The best game.
I agree. Breaking news from our guy, Aiden. I've been tapping him up here because he put a bunch of posts in here. Mike McCarthy has been relieved of his duties from the Dallas Cowboys. Adam Schefter posted 24 seconds ago. Mike McCarthy is not going to return to Dallas. It is now set to become a free agent. The two sides engaged in no discussions about a new deal, and McCarthy is now a prime candidate for either Chicago or New Orleans. They're expecting him to go to one of the two. I don't think it'll be New Orleans because I think Aaron Glenn has that job. Just to be honest, I think he's going to get that job. Chicago would be hilarious. I hope that's the NFC North. To be honest, I do, because I don't want to see Ben Johnson go there. I don't want to see his talent wasted going to a team like the Bears. I think Ben Johnson should go to a different organization, but that's just me personally. But that's the breaking news that we have. JD, we asked how you felt about the talent in the league. However, how did you do this weekend? We haven't gone over your recap yet.
Man, this weekend was really good. Saturday, as far as sports, I actually cap a lot of different sports. So as far as Saturday, my volume was pretty big. And I had the third biggest day I have ever had. I had a 35 unit day.
We love that.
Which was just absolutely nuts. But yeah, man, everything is rolling along good now. So
love it. Congratulations. Keep winning, because when you keep winning, we get more people in here. So JD, keep on keeping on, brother. Congratulations. I know that plus 35 units was a huge day. I woke up and saw that total and had to do a double take and was like, did they mean 3.5 units? This man really just won 35 units? Good job. Keep it going. Well done. Quickly, everything's been positive on the show. Everyone's in great vibes, except for one lonely, sad viewer. Footy Chancellor, we all know Penn State had a chance. To make things worse, it does look like your star running back, Nick Singleton, has entered the transfer portal today. So not to, rub salt on the wounds there. But Footy, we feel you. But listen, you could be a Rutgers fan. So life's not that bad. Let's keep it moving, fellas. And Monty Man is saying the quarterback disparity will tighten. I agree for the big games, but that's what we kind of were saying. It's very top heavy. There's not a whole league worth of talented quarterbacks. We're currently living in a time where Kyler Murray is considered a top 5 quarterback. Just take that in. He definitely is. And he's definitely, if you would have put him as a starting quarterback in, 2010, he would be the 28th or 29th best quarterback in the league. So I just think there's a huge talent disparity than what we're used to. All right, fellas. Well, we went over how the weekend did. We have 3 games we're going to be breaking down today. You fellas ready to dive into the daily breakdown?
Of course.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it, boys. First game we're breaking down today is going to be a college basketball game, and it's one that weighs deeply on my heart. We're going to the UCLA Bruins, traveling to the Jersey Mike's Arena in New Jersey, and taking on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And let me tell you something, boys. I had big hopes for this Rutgers team this year. They had 2 of the top 3 recruits in the nation. This was supposed to be the year Rutgers was going to make a huge run and look fantastic. And unfortunately, it has been quite the opposite. Rutgers comes into this game 8-8 on the year, and they are 1-4 in conference. They are fighting just to make the Big Ten tournament, let alone March Madness. So it's been a very disappointing year for Rutgers. On the other side, UCLA comes into this game ranked 22nd in the nation. They are 11-5 and 2-3 in conference. I'm sure you guys all saw the interview last week by Coach Cronin of UCLA, where he told his players he asked why his players don't care as much as he did. Why is he the guy who works harder in practices than his players? Why does he care more than his players? And absolutely laid into him. UCLA has struggled ever since. They've lost 4 of the last 5 games, including 3 straight conference games. They lost at Maryland. They lost at home to Michigan by 20, and they lost by 8 to Nebraska at home as well. So they've really struggled. On the other side, Rutgers has also lost 3 in a row, 3 Big Ten games, and they haven't competed in a single one. They lost 68-50 to Purdue, 75-63 to Wisconsin, and 84-74 with Indiana. All that being said, Ben, we're going to go to you. What do you like tonight in UCLA Rutgers?
Yeah, this is a weird spot because UCLA, they're obviously going through some struggles. They were ranked high. They're still ranked after 3 straight losses. They are really hitting kind of a rut right now. You'd think this is the game they can bounce back. But honestly, Rutgers is 7-2 at home. There were big expectations coming into the year. Dylan Harper was recently dealing with an illness. I think.
Yeah, he has some really bad flu.
Yeah, and it seems like he's kind of recovered from that now. Ace Bailey just recently went off. I think they're kind of starting to get a little bit of a mojo, despite I know they just lost 3 games in a row. But they're still working into the season. They're still 7-2 at home. It's not like a lost season. I actually think UCLA is in the worst spot here off 3 losses because they were kind of rolling. They didn't struggle to start the season. They were rolling. They were ranked high. Now they're kind of looking around the locker room, asking questions. You were just talking about that interview, Alpha. I really think this is actually a spot where Rutgers, the line is indicative. You have a ranked team. I know they're on the road, but still just +3 for a somewhat seemingly struggling Rutgers team. It just seems like the line is really, saying that this is a Rutgers play. So I'm going to take Rutgers +3.5.
One thing that scares me about that, Ben, is you take a look at Rutgers' most recent performances. So they were a 1.5-point underdog against Purdue. They lost by 20. They were a 2-point underdog against Wisconsin. They lost by 12. And they were a pick'em essentially against Indiana. They lost by 10. So I would normally agree with you. But every game, they're getting these favorable lines, and they're just not performing. Somebody, as you guys know, and anybody who watches this show knows, I'm a massive Rutgers fan. I watch every single game of Rutgers football and Rutgers basketball. If I can't watch it live, I watch it on tape. Those are my 2 favorite teams to watch. Those are my 2 passion teams in the state of New Jersey. You can't bet on colleges in New Jersey. So as a full-time gambler and a huge sports fan, I love Rutgers. So I watch them as my personal enjoyment. It's my non-gambling team. I enjoy watching them. And as a fan, you can't put any money on this fucking team this year. This has been the most disappointing Rutgers team in the history of Rutgers basketball. And that's saying something, because I sat through some of those 3-27 seasons. This one is significantly worse due to the expectations. Ace Bailey's draft stock is plummeting. He has been playing terribly. He can't dribble the ball. He needs to catch and shoot, and he's not hitting his shots. Harper's been fantastic, but the rest of the roster is terrible. It's a 2-man team versus real Big Ten talent, and it just has not worked. I'm not going to have a play on this game because I'm not going to bet against Rutgers on UCLA. I'm going to watch it and still hope Rutgers pulls it out. But for me, no play. I think UCLA gets it done, though. JD, what do you think?
Yeah, Alpha, just like you were saying, man, this actually this actual team, man, this actually like Rutgers team, we thought they were going to be a much different team. A much different team.
They were preseason ranked. They were a top 25 team in the preseason.
Yes. So how they've been playing and how they've been looking, especially the past few games, to me has honestly been quite shocking. Especially the past couple home games. Just actually, you said like those were supposed to be close games, and actually like they were supposed to have a good shot to win those games.
Yep.
And just like you said, they were not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Then like you also said, is as far as the other side goes, they've lost 3 in a row now.
Yep, 4 to 5 as well.
Yeah, actually, I mean, like they've actually gotten called out, all these things. So we're in a spot here where both of these teams need a win. And when it comes down to it, to me, one of these teams is the much better team. And I'm sorry to say, Alpha, that Rutgers is not that team. As far as last night, you could have gotten UCLA at actually -2. This was a mistake by me. I did not jump on that because I thought that the Rutgers love at home would be a little more. So I didn't think that line would really move the way it has. So actually, it's up to 3.5 now. I actually make the line 5. So at this point now, I just have to stay off. If actually like Rutgers money does start to come in though, and the line moves back down, I actually will jump in on them though.
I'll tell you right now, though, JD, I've been so negative about Rutgers this year, and for every reason to be. They lost to a Princeton team that's terrible. They lost to multiple teams. They lost to a team in Georgia. Which team? Kennesaw State. They lost to Kennesaw State. That's been a tough year, but let me tell you something, JD, as a Rutgers fan. If Rutgers wins this game tonight, I am all the way back in on the national title aspiration, so I will put it that way. But let's keep it moving, fellas. That was the one college basketball game we're doing. We're going to next get into the NBA action, and we're going to be going over another local team of mine. The New York Knicks are taking on the Detroit Pistons. Let's take a look at this game, guys. The Knicks are coming in off a back-to-back. They did play last night. They did score 140 points, and they took out the Bucks in an impressive fashion. However, this is on a back-to-back, and the Knicks are going to be tired after that performance. Another thing I want to say, though, is that the Knicks are 15-3 on the year against teams that are under 500. Against teams that are over 500, they've been abysmal and are a 500 team. The Pistons, surprisingly, are an above 500 team. JD, I'll let you break this one down. What do you got?
We talked about the Pistons this actually past week. I think it was on the show with Jammer. And like they've been playing well. They actually really have. As far as the Knicks, to me, they've kind of been a team this year that I kind of can't seem to get right. When I think I have a good feel on them and bet on them, they haven't done actually well for me. And then when I want to go against them, they play absolutely great. So it's one of those things where it's just one of those teams. But for me, really, as far as the numbers go in this game, as far as the Pistons, I'm showing value there, and then I'm showing value on this over also. So what I'm going to do, so as far as the side, I don't even have to worry about that, is I'm going to take the Pistons and I'm going to take their team total over. You can actually get that at 107. That's just a way of me backing them, but not having, as far as the spread, just not even having to worry about that, though.
I respect that. I respect it. Ben, what angle do you have on this game?
So I'm actually going to take the Pistons +8 here. And it's not because of the back-to-back angle. We've seen, the Knicks perform somewhat well in back-to-backs, although they are 1-3 against the spread on back-to-backs this year.
Yes.
So, I mean, they play heavy minutes. They're usually pretty well. They have pretty good endurance because, they're just played that same amount of minutes every game, no matter what, because of coaching. But I think that really this comes down to the Pistons' recent play. They're 9-2 over their last 11. They're playing like a really actually well-gelled team. You brought it up, surprisingly, over 500. They've now battled to 20-19. And it's because of, consistent play, and they've remained mostly healthy, except for Jaden Ivey, who went out in early January. Cade Cunningham is looking like the star that, we've seen him kind of turn into. And then you have Duren holding down the paint. And while they're not scoring, they're getting really spread out scoring, which I think is what's been so successful for them. Tobias Harris has been decent in his secondary role. Tim Hardaway's been successful in his secondary
He's been really good, Hardaway. I've been shocked at how good Hardaway's been.
Yeah, they just have guys in these secondary roles, aside from Cade, that are just playing well. And I think that's kind of the good basketball they found. Meanwhile, yesterday, Jalen Brunson, the leading scorer for the Knicks, went to the locker room with a shoulder injury. Haven't heard if he's going to play yet tonight, but if he's out, I mean, that's a pretty big blow to their offense.
Line tells you what you need to know. Line tells you he's playing.
Yeah. He's probably playing, but, banged up, who knows.
Yep.
However, so I like the Pistons +8. I also like the prop in this game, and it's going to be Karl Anthony Towns over 37.5 points plus rebounds. You would think playing in a back-to-back that he wouldn't hit this number, and the books don't think he will because he's lined at, I think it's actually 36.5, sorry. He's averaging 39 on the season, combined points plus rebounds, and they have him lined at 36.5 because you'd think it's a back-to-back. I went through and looked. He's averaging 49 points plus rebounds in the 4 back-to-back games this year, including a 44-point game and a 46-point game. And now you're talking about potentially an injured Brunson in this game. So I actually really like that play for him. I think he also has a good matchup against this Pistons team who doesn't have a very great defense. So 2 plays in this game for me.
I like it. You know what's a little weird, and David, I see your comments here. Normally I would agree, but I actually like the other side tonight with the tired legs, especially with the way the Knicks have played this year. So normally, if you take a look at how the Knicks have done expected against the totals last year, they're one of the best under teams in the league. I believe they finished with the most games going under in the NBA. That's not the case this year. Since they've added Karl-Anthony Towns and a few other pieces like Mikal Bridges, this team does put a lot more focus on offense than they have in the past, to a point where the Knicks this year are 22-17 at games going to the over, hitting at 57%, which puts them tied for top 5 in the NBA. Detroit is not too far behind them. They're coming in at 8th in the NBA at 20-18 on the year to the over, covering at 53%. So I'm definitely taking the over in this game with tired legs. I do think the Pistons defense will be lackluster because that's what the Pistons are. The Knicks just put up 140 yesterday. If the Knicks put up anywhere near that 120 range, which is 20 less points than yesterday, I think this will easily go over the 223.5. That is my official pick, over 223.5. Fellas, the show today is based around one game, and I think the world is waiting to hear us talk about one game. It's the biggest game of the day. It's what everybody is going to be talking about. So let's dive in to what everybody knows we're going to be going into next, which is the NFL final game of Super Wildcard Weekend. We're going to start with JD. Normally we start with Ben. I know it's his Vikings. But JD, we're going to you today. Vikings taking on the Rams. Last game of Super Wildcard Weekend. What do you got for the people?
You know, this is a game where I'm having a tough time with. I do not have a play yet. I have a play that I am definitely leaning towards. As far as my numbers go, after I adjusted it for the home field, I still have the Rams favored by actually like 1.2 points here. I do have to say, as far as this weekend goes, the model was pretty much spot on. As far as the Bucks game, I had actually them by 3 points, but actually that was the only game that I actually missed. So as far as my numbers, it's hard for me to go against them now. The Vikings, and then also for me, the Vikings, they played really hard actually down the stretch here because they wanted that number 1 seed. So they played really hard. They played some tough games. And then they did not get that number 1 seed. And actually that finds them here now. But then on the other side, you have all of the you just have all of the actual LA stuff. You have the fires. You have everything that's going on back at home now. I'm wondering how much is that going to affect them? Is it going to, so basically I want Ben to tell me why I should not bet on the Rams here.
Ben.
I actually like a prop more than I like a side in this game. And, you have to remain as unbiased as possible when it's your home team. And I do think the Vikings win when you look at it in an unbiased sense, but I don't think it's going to be some blowout or anything. I do think it's going to be a close game. They obviously lost to them once already this season, and a lot of people have brought that up. However, you have to look at least a little bit of context of that game. They lost 20-30. It was closer than that because of, the safety and everything after the face mask hold, whatever. 4 days prior to that game, not too many people are talking about this. That was a Thursday night game. The Sunday prior, 4 days earlier, they played Detroit, and they lost in 21-39 to Detroit 4 days prior, and they played a short week in Los Angeles. I believe that had a lot to do with that game. You're traveling. You only had 3 days because of the travel day. I think that was big context around that game. And there's been this big stat going around people who play Detroit the week after. They don't do well. And I understand we just played Detroit last time too. But I do think the context is important in that game. And Blake Cashman was injured for that game. Didn't play. He's been one of our best linebackers TJ Hawkinson was still injured up to that point. He's playing now. So we're actually a pretty healthy team when you look at it going into the playoffs, which is big. So are the Rams. But I do think it comes down to just defensive pressure. We did okay in the first game, but I think our blitzing with how heavy we blitz, if we can get to Stafford, he's been always not as well under pressure. You give him a clean pocket, he's going to win a Super Bowl because we've literally seen it before.
Correct.
But if the most blitz-heavy team in the NFL can get home on him, I think it'll be a longer game. However, if we can't get that pressure, I think we're going to get carved up. It's going to be a very high-scoring game. I honestly don't mind hate playing the over here because, if they can give him a clean pocket, Stafford's going to pass all over us. Our secondary can be exploited. But on the other side, we also have an explosive offense. So if anything, I'd say I'm leaning more towards the over. I do think the Vikings win. I think it's close. My favorite prop that I was going to talk about is Addison over. His line's moving all over the place, but I believe it's 56.5 right now. His target share over the second half of the season exploded. He was averaging like 3 receptions over the first 7 games. Now he's averaging like 6 a game or something. He's getting near double-digit targets almost every game. He's exploded in the second half of the season. And he's coming off a 1-reception, 6-target game for 0 yards, 6 targets. And, part of that's Darnold too, but I really think he's going to have a bounce-back game. I feel like the Rams are going to be all over Jefferson in this game. So I believe he has a good game, and I do think it goes over. Vikings win a close one.
Let me jump in here, boys. Ben, feel more comfortable on the Vikings, baby, because the Vikings are winning the football game tonight. I love the Vikings in this spot. Guys, this is a question I've been asking people in my personal circle, some friends all weekend long. Can anybody name me a single secondary player on the Rams off the top of their head? Does anybody know of any secondary player on this Rams team? Because if you can't, then who's going to be guarding Justin Jefferson? Who's going to be guarding TJ Hawkinson? And who's going to be guarding Jordan Addison? I have a lot more faith in Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings, to dial up blitzes all game long. I think he will be able to get in the backfield. They will be able to get to Matt Stafford. And I do think the Vikings will be able to win this game. I agree with you. It's going to be a close game. It should be a very good game. But I think the Vikings are clearly the better team here. You take a look at how the Vikings have done this season, ATS. They were 11-5, covering at 69%. Second best cover team in the NFL. A lot of people are disrespecting this Vikings team because of what we saw them do against the Lions. If that Lions game never occurred, and I do believe that was a one-time bad-off performance by Darnold, I still have faith in him for what he's done all season long, then I think this line would be extremely different than what we're currently seeing it at. And I think a lot of people are putting way too much weight on one game that happened in the last game of the year. This Vikings team has been consistent all year long. They've been good all year long. They've been able to score all year long. I just don't think this Rams secondary has enough to contain the receivers that the Vikings have. I also think that Aaron Jones should be able to run a little bit in this game as well. So for me, the Vikings are definitely the play here, and I definitely think they should be able to get the win. We're putting our 4-1 Super Wildcard weekend on the line with the Vikings. And guys, if you were here last week on the show, I gave you my Super Bowl predictions. The Buffalo Bills out of the AFC and the Minnesota Vikings out of the NFC. They can't get to the Super Bowl if they don't win the first game. Give me the Vikings on the money line. I'm not messing around with the points. They're going to get it done. JD, did I influence you at all? Or you're like, screw you, you're a moron, and I'm taking the fucking Rams.
Now he's going to take the Rams because I don't know.
It definitely makes sense what you're like saying, but just actually like a few things that actually y'all said made me think of a few things. The Vikings are definitely going to blitz. They're going to blitz a lot, and I know how the Rams are coached. The Rams are coached very well. Yep. They're going to be ready for it, and if they just keep blitzing, that's not going to be a good thing, which is what they love to like do. The more I think about it, I'm probably going to have a play on the Rams. It is actually going to be a small play. It's actually not going to be anything big.
Is it a cluck bet?
Sure. But it's just one of those games where if the Vikings do not jump out, I think they're going to have a tough game. If you have Sam just sitting back there and he has to drop back and has to pass, I think it's going to be a tough game.
But what about the Cinderella story that everyone's talking about, that nobody but me is talking about, and I made up in my head? What happens when Sam Darnold gets an injury tonight, which he'll be fine tomorrow? He just has to miss the one game tonight. And Daniel Jones
Oh.
comes running off the sidelines
Daniel.
and leads the Vikings to another playoff victory because he's 1-0 against Minnesota in the playoff. Daniel Jones, if he gets in there, which, by the way, I'm totally just joking. No one's expecting to see Daniel Jones. But I do expect Sam Darnold to have a much better performance here. And like I said, I just don't know how they contain this passing attack of the Vikings. I mean, yes, I see here Witherspoon is one of their corners, Joe. He's done okay. He has 1 interception on the year. These guys don't force turnovers. I really do think that the Vikings are going to have no problem moving the ball up and down the field. And the Vikings, if they run the ball and establish their run, that's when their passing attack gets deadly. We all saw against the Lions that the Vikings ran the ball like 11 times for 100 yards. They were fantastic on the ground, but they gave up on it. I think we're going to see a heavier dose of running early, which will open the play action and get the pass going. So that's exactly what I am playing here.
Yeah, give me the plus 2.5, and then actually we can click it out.
I'm on the money line. So you and Ben can set this. This is
all right.
Ben.
I'll do the 2.5 for the cluck bet.
Okay, there we go. We got a cluck bet this week. Any other props you guys like on the game? So, Ben, I know you said you like the over on receiving yards currently for Jordan Addison. I currently have that on FanDuel at 58.5. I think that's a good line here. I do think Cooper Kupp has a low line. I still think he's going to have a decent game. All that being said, Cooper Kupp having a line of 48.5 is crazy to me. What do you guys think about that? Do you think Cooper Kupp might be a play for a prop action play?
I actually love his receptions because I could see him. I mean, he's at 4.5. Dude, if the Vikings are blitzing, the number one path is going to be those short little quick throws to Cooper Kupp, which he is so good at. I have no idea why that's 4.5. I think there's actually a possibility. I think he hits 5 receptions and stays under his line of 48.5. I'm not even kidding you, because he could just have he could just dial up 5, 6, 7 catches for 4 or 5 yards each. I could see it happening. Yeah.
I could as well, but he also could take one play and go 55 yards.
Oh, yeah, he could.
So
I made that point to say I like receptions over 4.5 more than I like over 48.5 yards.
I would probably like receptions over that as well, because I think if the Vikings blitz, they will do a lot of different wide receiver bubble screens, things of the sort, to try and get the ball out of Stafford's hands quickly, and he will be a beneficiary of the receptions there. JD, any other props you like on this game? Josh wants an anytime touchdown, and we don't get Josh down.
That's actually what I'm bringing up right now, man. This actually Cooper Kupp touchdown prop, I think, is priced wildly off now that I'm looking at it. It looks like you can get it at actually plus 175.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why this is not in the plus 130 range here.
Agreed.
So I'm definitely going to be on that.
I like that. The one touchdown prop I'll give, it's a square prop. It's one of the favorites, but I don't see any way Justin Jefferson doesn't find the end zone tonight at minus 110 odds on FanDuel. I'm probably going to be sprinkling on JJ2+. This could be a really high scoring game. When we saw the Rams take on the Bills this year, I believe that was a 44-42 game where every team was scoring every 2 seconds. And I think this will be a rather high scoring game as well. I think this one goes over 2, but I'm more comfortable on the Vikings money line. But my prop for sure on anytime touchdown is going to be Justin Jefferson. JD, any other props? Feels like you're sitting on something.
Nah, man. There's it.
That's it.
I am going to officially make the Rams next play, though.
Ooh,
okay, so the Rams are officially on the board. And
Yep.
Josh, yes, they have this for every single game right now. FanDuel's offering 30% live boost. So I've been using those every single day. Make sure you guys, if you have access to a book like FanDuel, there's so many promotions right now. Make sure you find the best ones and take advantage of them, because there's no point in not utilizing these 30% live boosts. I've been using them every day. Why not have some fun and utilize the free stuff that they are currently giving us? All right, fellas. Well, that's going to do it for the breakdown of the show. But as you guys know, there's still a bunch of things we do on the show before we go out of here. And I have some good news. There is a sale back at MoneyBall Metrics. This is the first sale we've had in a while. And guys, the team is growing here at MoneyBall Metrics. 1 day only. It's BOGO. Buy 1 month, get the next one free. 60 days for a total of $57.95. Guys, we've been absolutely on fire. Everybody in the Discord has been cashing, especially this weekend. Make sure you guys take advantage if you want to join the best community out there with the best people out there. We're in there all the time chatting with everyone. A lot of the guys in the comments know that. So make sure you guys take advantage. Come have fun and come hang out with us in the MoneyBall Metrics Discord. All right, fellas, there's only one more thing we have to do. And everybody out there knows what that is. We're going to be going into our best bets of Monday, January 13th. Ben, we're going to start with you. Do you have 1? Do you have 2? Do you have 97? How many best bets do you have for the viewers today?
I actually have 4 today, plus a bonus pick. starting in the NFL, Vikings money line. I do think they win. So I actually locked this one in when they were still at like the nearly pick 'em price at minus 115 before the line moved because it was days ago before all this stuff. I still like a minus 2.5, but I'm on the money line personally myself as a best bet. Addison over 59.5 receiving yards. I think he's a bounce back game from last game. I do think they're going to be putting all their efforts on Jefferson and kind of leave Addison open. It'll only take 1 or 2 plays, big plays, I think, that he'll get to hit this one. And then over in the NBA, Pistons +8. They're 9-2 their last 11. They're above 500 now. They're playing like a really well-oiled machine. And Cade Cunningham, we've seen him turn into the star. He is. And then Cat over 37.5 points plus rebounds. I think is a great spot for him. He's averaging way more than this in back-to-back spots in the 4 games this year. And we know Tibbs loves to play his guys in big minutes, even on back-to-back. So I'm not worried about his minutes tonight, even in the second half of a back-to-back.
There we go. All right, let's jump.
CJ Ham, anytime touchdown, plus 2,500. It's going to happen. They're going to dial up some weird fullback play on the goal line. It's going to be a fake handoff to Jones, and then they're going to hand it off to CJ Ham the other way.
Don't bet that.
Plus 2,500.
Don't bet that.
CJ Ham is getting a touchdown tonight.
Love that play. That's a guaranteed lock. Don't bet that. Don't bet that. Absolutely love that play. Great best bets, Ben. I'll jump in next. My only best bet today is the 2-unit play. Vikings money line. That's my only best bet. JD, close us out. What do you got for the people?
There actually was only going to be one best bet, but I am going to add on another one here. Let's go with the Pistons. Let's take their team total over. You can still get that, I believe, at actually 107. And then give me the Rams. I am going to take the actual Rams here.
Boo. All right, JD. We've done all we do on this show. We've broken down the games. We've recapped the weekend. We've gone over college basketball, NBA, and the NFL. There's still one thing that the people need from us, and I think you know what that is. JD, any final words before we get out of here today?
Yeah, man, I actually have a lot to say here. As far as this weekend, man, it was so much fun. And actually, really, as far as the Discord, man, like we've been working on this, we've been growing this, and there was so much talk throughout the Discord the whole weekend. Like we have so many different channels, and they were just filled the entire time. Just people going back and forth and talking sports and giving out plays, and it was just so cool to just sit back and like watch that.
I agree.
And then with saying all that, you know, basically everybody in there is hot currently. Like everybody's doing well. I know as far as max plays between all of us, we have now hit our past 6. Everything's rolling. So yes, this is a perfect time to just like get in there and have some fun with us. And then after you get in there, you're going to join us and do what we do. We're going to fucking win.
Let's fucking win. I can also promise you guys you won't find any Darwin Ham, CJ Ham, Baked Ham, anytime touchdowns in the Discord today. I'm just kidding. Ben, fantastic show as always, brother. Any parting words from you before we get out of here?
I think JD put it perfectly. I don't think there's a thing I could possibly add except for skull.
Skull.
I was going to do the clapping hands over my head thing. That's going to be way too cringe for this show. So I'm just going to say skull.
Kind of think you should have done that. But fellas, it's been a great day. We'll be back tomorrow to recap the Vikings win, to see JD upset, and everyone will be in here to have a great time. Yet again, we appreciate every single one of you. We appreciate y'all joining us, commenting, and spending your afternoon with us. We'll be back, like I said, same time, same place tomorrow. Peace, everybody.